You're all set now. Sorry about the delay. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, we'll call the meeting of the Coventry Land Trust to order here at 6:36 p.m. on March 15th, 2022. The meeting has been posted in accordance with the open meeting laws for the state of Rhode Island. Our first agenda item is to determine our quorum. So I will do a roll call. Linda Brennan.
Here.
Jack Donovan.
Here.
Dennis Green.
Here.
Joyce Peretta.
Here.
Rory Comedy. John, can you bring her in? I think she said she's dialed in.
Sure, just 1 second. Hi, Rory, you should be in now. It looks like you're muted. If you can press *6, that should toggle the mute feature if you're calling in.
Hello.
Hello.
There we are.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Rory, we're doing a roll call here. So Rory Comedy.
Okay. Here, I got an email on my, I'm unfortunately driving, but I got an email from the kids from Weston and Grace. They're trying to sign in. I just don't know how to get them in.
So if they have the agenda, they should just be able to click on the link.
That's what they were doing, but it was asking them for a passcode.
Yes, I have that. 100679.
Right, I just don't know how to get it to them. So I'm gonna when I get home, before I get on the Zoom from home, I'll try them, because
Okay.
they're committed to come to the Earth Days in April. So all right, I'll work on it as I'm driving.
They should be able to do it with that number and pound.
Yep, that's what I would have thought too.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll continue. And Joshua Clements not here, and still nobody has heard from him. So we do have a quorum.
Wow.
And first, next item agenda is election of officers. And we're currently without a chairman, and I have been serving as vice chairman. And those are the two positions that we have traditionally had elections for. And I will take nominations for the chairmanship position from anybody who wants to make a nomination.
I'd like to nominate you, Glenn. You've been there before and you know what to do.
I was going to nominate you.
Too old.
Too old. There's no age
You're
required.
not going to be knocking on 80 here pretty soon. So
All right. Well, if I would be willing to serve temporarily as chairman, obviously I've got a lot of stuff on my docket, but to get us through so we can keep moving, I will accept that nomination. Does anyone else have another nomination that they'd like to nominate?
I nominate Rory.
Okay, so we have a second nomination.
I would respectfully decline. I chair the Governor's Commission on Disability, which is just a huge undertaking. I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to give it the kind of the detail that it requires. I love serving on the committee. I would hate to mess that up.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Any other nominations before we call a vote for the chairman's position?
I would like to nominate Linda Brennan. This is Joyce.
Okay.
I have
Linda.
some reservations about serving, since I haven't even been on the committee for, a year yet. And so I would rather not serve as head, at this point. So I guess I'm respectfully declining.
All right, and so with that, and I certainly would gladly defer to Joyce, not to Linda and Rory with the nominations. I do understand Rory and Linda with your joint. I think you're both very capable people of running our group, and maybe on the next go around we'll proceed. So with that being said, there's a nomination of
Jack,
Glenn
how do
Underwood.
you feel about serving?
I respectfully decline.
Okay, so
We have one member missing. Maybe we should, if you said you were willing, Glenn, to hold for a while, maybe having one extra, we might get someone who we could tell might need to be chairman.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm hoping.
you're right.
But so we can move on with our agenda and just proceed here. Again, I got a lot of stuff on my plate too. So, but we need to just move for a little bit, and maybe we can call for elections later on. And after we get somebody additional, maybe they have some time, some experience that they'd like to share with us. So I'd gladly defer at that point, or step aside as chairman. All right, with that being said, there's been one nomination accepted, and that's Glenn Underwood. I will call a vote for electing Glenn Underwood for chairman of the Coventry Land Trust. I'll do a roll call. Linda Brennan,
Aye.
Jack Donovan,
Aye.
Dennis Green,
Aye.
Joyce Peretta,
Aye.
Rory Comedy,
Aye.
and Glenn Underwood, aye. So the motion's carried. That opens up the position of vice chairman. Since I was serving in that role, we do need a vice chairman in case I can't make a meeting, or so we have some additional. And I'll accept nominations for vice chairman's position.
How about Rory? Rory. Is you there?
No, I'm listening. I'm wait. The vice chair.
Yes.
Vice chair.
Can I say I accept on an interim basis?
Certainly.
Okay.
These aren't. This isn't where you get elected for life here in this country yet.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Does anyone else have another nomination for vice chair? Right now we have Rory Comedy has been nominated. All right. Hearing none, I'll call the vote on the vice chair with a roll call, a nomination of Rory Comedy by Dennis Green. And I'll call for the vote. Linda Brennan,
Aye.
Jack Donovan,
Aye.
Dennis Green,
Aye.
Joyce Peretta,
Aye.
Rory Carmody,
Abstain.
and abstain. You can vote for yourself.
Oh, I wasn't sure. We can't do that on the other committee. All right.
All right, and I vote aye. So Rory has been voted in as vice chairman. All right, so we'll continue on with our agenda. We've got 2 sets of minutes to approve. Did everyone get their meeting packets?
Yes.
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 All right, I'll accept a motion to accept the minutes of the February 8th, 2022 executive session. Do I hear that motion?
I make that motion.
So moved.
All right, it's been made by Linda. Is that a second from you, Rory?
Yep.
Okay, seconded by Rory. Any discussion on those minutes? All right, all those in favor of approving the executive session minutes, say I'll do a roll call. Linda Brennan,
Aye.
Jack Donovan,
Aye.
Dennis Green,
Aye.
Joyce Peretta,
Aye.
Rory Comedy,
Aye.
and Glenn Underwood, aye. So those have been approved. John, do we need to make another motion to keep them sealed? We already voted once to have them sealed. I don't recall whether we have to do a second one.
Right, so, yeah, we had already voted to seal the minutes, so no need for an extra vote.
All right, so now we'll move on to the February 2022 open session minutes. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes of the open session?
I have one very tiny correction on
Okay.
page 3. The tick awareness signs, Rory is the one who laminated, not me. So not that it's a big deal, but
Okay, so we have one correction. Let me just back up in front of me here.
under kiosk, tick awareness signs for kiosks. And Rory said she would laminate them.
Okay, so we have one name correction as for who would do the work. Does anyone else have, I need a motion to accept with that one correction. Do I have that motion?
You have that motion, Dennis.
All right, motion's made by Dennis. Do I have a second?
I second.
All right. Any further discussion on the minutes? We just have the one name correction.
I do have a question on page 1,
Okay.
down with land trust finances. With the comment, they will have to pay for 1 or 2 appraisals. When they say budget, we're talking the operating budget, I take it, correct? They are within their budget.
Yes, I think that we are within our operating budget, correct?
Okay, that's my clarification. That's all I wanted to make sure of.
Yeah, we don't have a budget we don't operate a budget on the actual trust fund.
Okay. Just clarification on my.
Clarification, yeah. Okay, with that, I'll call the vote and do a roll call on the open session meeting with one name adjustment. So looking for approvals, Linda Brennan,
Aye.
Jack Donovan,
Aye.
Dennis Green,
Aye.
Joyce Peretta,
Aye.
Rory Comedy,
Aye.
and Glenn Underwood, aye. So the minutes are approved. Okay, going on to ongoing business here, and I know I'm going to jump again and get a couple things done. I know we have Larry Manier is with us, and I know he's going to talk about some GIS work and some stuff. So I do want to make sure that we have time, and I don't want to make him wait to the end of the world here to get through some of this stuff. I'm gonna for right now move, if with everyone's approval, to go to section 6, old business, and just get some of these things off because they're very important. Does everyone concur? Is there anyone that has an issue if we just jump on to 6 here, which is the old business, and starting with the appraisal?
That's
Sounds
fine.
like a plan to me. Yep. I think that's a good idea.
Good. Yep.
Okay. All right. So, John, can you give us an update on the Leah Kavanaugh appraisal for development rights?
Sure. So I'll start by saying that I had a conversation with Miss Kavanaugh the other day, giving her an update, so she's in the loop, as always. As far as the appraisal itself, the last I had spoken to you all, he was working on coming up with a potential layout of a theoretical subdivision. And that was how he was going to determine what the development rights were. I provided him with information based on zoning and our planning regulations as to what would be allowed over there in a theoretical situation where a developer wanted to put in some type of subdivision over there. After I had sent him everything, I didn't hear anything for a bit. I did send him 2 follow-up emails and I haven't heard anything. So at this time, I don't have an update other than I haven't heard from him yet. So I assume he's busy. And at this time, I'm going to just keep trying to get in touch with him, seeing what
Okay.
the status of that is.
All right, so she's kept, LA has been kept in the loop, and we're
Yes.
still waiting on getting that final
Correct.
appraisal. Okay. All right, let's move on to Grasset property and over on Mumford Street. I did happen, after our last meeting, I did talk to Gary Grasset, and I also talked to George Boxdale. They're both still on board with what we have discussed. They, of course, Gary's getting anxious, wants to move along. And I think we said after our last meeting here, we need to vote to send to the town council or request the town council to proceed acquiring these properties. I think we have to do, the council may want to meet in executive session to go over, pricing and appraisals and various other details here first. And then maybe, hopefully from there go and vote in support of actually acquiring the properties. But it's now, I think it's time to turn it over to the council to make the next level. So does anyone have any other discussion on those properties?
No.
No.
So I'll entertain a motion that the land trust recommend to the town council the acquisition of the Grasset property on Mumford Street, which would also include a donation from George Boxdale of a certain part of his lot in front of the Grasset.
Okay.
Do I hear that motion?
You hear that motion? Yes.
Second,
Okay.
Okay, second. Motion's been made by Dennis Green, seconded by Jack Donovan to proceed with putting this before the town council. Any further discussion?
Who's gonna put a package together?
Dennis, since you didn't get nominated for anything, I think your expertise on you do
I
an
agree.
excellent job. It'll be I hope, Dennis, you can assemble the stuff as we normally do or have done with our so if you could do that, that'd be great.
All right.
I can help.
So if I'll go with the first package we did, so they can see the scoring sheet and little write-ups. Second thing, I guess we want to take the appraisal also.
Yep, that'll be part of the packet.
Yep. Do we want to summarize it? Do we want to let them kind of thumb through a couple of pages, or?
I think they'll the key pages we can make sure that they know. I think that's the bottom line. I think we're just gonna very similar to what we did with Heritage. I think the same sort of package.
Okay, so that would be similar to what we already did.
Yeah.
With this Mumford Street already, our first presentation.
Yeah.
We'll keep it simple, stupid, so to speak.
Yeah, I think since they've already heard partial on this is just the follow-up. So I think I think just getting our packet assembled, they'll get it in advance of the council session, and we'll go from there.
All right. So John, I think I have the appraisal, so we just got to set a time and a date, and I'll just kind of put in a simple little package. It won't be complicated. I try to highlight the cover page on the appraisal, and I guess that'll be it. Be as simple as that.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. That like Glenn said, they have already seen
Right.
a lot of this information. It's been a couple of months, so this will be a refresher. And the most important thing will be the appraisal itself. And
All right. So if I don't, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
go ahead.
All right, so if I get the appraisal, it's just, I mean, this is very simple. You're taking two pieces of paper.
Mhm.
All right.
And you have a copy of that still, correct?
I should. I'm going to double check the folder.
If not,
I
just
should.
send me an email.
All right. So who's going to schedule? John, you're going to schedule it?
Yeah, well,
Um,
let's get it voted first. And
Okay, sorry.
then
So
I
just
think
do it. All right.
John can reach out once the package is assembled. And the two things we do have to understand right now, the council is working on budget, and it's a very tough time of year to get them to, but I think they'll jump, this should not take too long of time. So, but we'll see what their calendar allows them. And John, if you can, at that point, reach out to the council, or if you need me to reach out to the town manager and Dixon, we can also all work together to get on the agenda for the council. So let's finish the vote here. So I'm going to call the vote to send the Grassett property to the town council for approval or review and approval. Grassett property purchase along with the box jail donation. So roll call: Linda Brennan,
Aye.
Jack Donovan,
Aye.
Dennis Green,
Aye.
Joyce Peretta,
Aye.
Rory Comedy,
Aye.
and Glenn Underwood. Aye. Okay, so from there, John, you and I can discuss along with Dennis to get the package and get it in position. So we got to get the package first and then in position, but we can reach out if you want to reach out across the street and see, what the opportunity will be for us to get a schedule on the calendar. I've got a couple of Mondays that I will not be in town, and I'm not sure what their meeting schedule is. I've got two Mondays in April here that I will be out of town, but we can discuss. I'll give you that information later so you have it. So
Okay, yeah, I think the best option would be to reach out to the council president. I can kind of just let her know what we're thinking. I can include you on that email, and then we'll work out a date that works for everybody.
perfect. Good plan. All right, moving on then. So Capuano property, possible rescheduling of the site walk there. And obviously we went through a whole bunch of weather and issues, and now I believe we can meet in public and actually have a site walk as far as I know. John, is that correct from your understanding of the current open meeting laws?
Yes, well, as you said, the current, things change week by week, but as of right now, the executive order states that we can have in-person and or hybrid and or online meetings. So there should be no issues with any sort of scheduling of site walks.
Okay.
Good.
So let's finally get this, and I know we've got the cleanup day, Earth Day thing on our calendar coming up, and I'm away. It doesn't have to be me that trumps or consists or leads the walk, but does anyone have any suggestions down the road here? We'll be open. I gotta get a calendar in front of me here. Who hasn't walked? Rory, you didn't walk it yet, right?
Which one is this one on Reed Schoolhouse Road or?
Yeah, the one behind the school off of Reed Schoolhouse Road there.
No, I haven't done that part.
All right, so it's important that at least we schedule it when you would have the opportunity. I know Jack, myself, and
Joyce.
And so it's really you and Linda that haven't walked that property with us. So I think it's, if we can primarily get you and Linda, and I'll certainly guide if it's on a
Okay.
day that I guide. Linda or Rory, do you have preferable days on a weekend, a Saturday or Sunday?
It usually doesn't matter.
So, okay, I'm busy the 19th and 20th, but I'm free with 3 Saturdays after that, so
All right, can we
I'm
do?
free the 26th, the 2nd, and the 9th.
How is
Are those all
the
April dates?
March 20? She's got March 26th, April 2nd, and April 9th. I'm not available on the 2nd, but I'm available on March 26th and April 9th. So those are 2 options. Those are Saturdays.
Yep.
Could you do a,
Yeah, it's fine. I think those will probably be fine.
okay, 9 a.m. good?
Yep, that would work.
All right, you want to do March 26th, 9 a.m. and then if it's a rain date, April 9th, 9 a.m.
Perfect.
If we get pushed out. All right.
And
so-
you'll have to make sure I know where to meet.
Yep, we're gonna meet in the school, right at the school. There's Dorn, what's the name?
Washington Oak.
Washington Oak.
Washington Oak. Washington Oak
Okay.
parking lot. We'll park off to the side, and then from there we will go into the behind the school and walk the property.
Okay.
All right, so those, does anyone have any other suggestions of times, or is everyone good with that? I just want to make sure that we have enough, people to at least have the walk done, so we should.
Can we invite the students to that? That doesn't violate any open meeting thing?
Nope, that won't violate the public would be open to a site walk.
Okay.
Okay, so the 26th at 9 a.m. Hopefully everyone can make it, but if you can't, just let me know. The 9th, April 9th will be a rain day. And John, if you can get that now published and just reach out to Mr.
Yeah, I can reach out to the property owner and
Yeah.
I'll work with Gail to get that scheduled.
Okay. All right, moving on to Bamford property, Blackrock Road then. I think we did get some correspondence that Linda had.
Okay, so yeah, so I reached out to I made some phone calls, some I didn't hear back from, but I did talk to John Brown, who's the historical preservation officer for the Narragansett tribe. He said that this might be something that the tribe might want to preserve. And if we go ahead with it, he would even reach out to the landowners himself if we did decide to do it. But he suggested that I contact some other people to find out more, because he didn't have any information about that rock or its significance to the tribe. So I did end up being able to reach Timothy Ives of the Historical Preservation and Heritage Commission. And he had an interesting take on it. He said the story about Marriage Rock is probably a lovely story made up about the prominent boulder. He said there's a lot of literature very similar to that. these legends, quote unquote, are usually made up by white people about Native Americans, and they really are not factual. But that said, the Blackrock's origin was way back when. It was an erosion-resistant rock that remained sticking out of the landscape after the glaciers went through and ground down the surrounding area. And the winding path that Blackrock Road takes tells him that it's, and it makes like an elbow around Blackrock, that this is probably a colonial cart path that has been in existence for hundreds of years. And because and so that this landmark would have been visible to every traveler who passed by that way. And it's probably did have some significance to those people. And it may well have had significance to the Native Americans first, because very often those cart paths traced Native American footpaths. And so it could have been a prominent landmark for them. That might have been very likely. But the story about it being a marriage rock for the Native American probably isn't true. And unfortunately, there are no stories documented about the rock. So he says that, before we proceed, he suggests that whoever's interested in preserving it should provide more documentation if they can. So that's where we left it. So I don't know how other people feel about that, but so that's where it stands.
Okay, that and I think we all appreciate your efforts there to try and get as much information. That's good that there's some background, and I think that story right there is probably very truthful as for what the winding path and the stone being prominent, and people, it would be a landmark. And so my question to the rest of the group here is: this something that we want to continue on our agenda? They're pursuing something that at this point, or should we move it, I guess, to off of our agendas? And I'm not sure how everyone feels about, pursuing this as one of our main objectives.
It is the opportunity.
I'm sorry, Jack, go ahead. No.
Well, it is an opportunity for a small park in that area in the end of town. It's visually, it'll be there where people can see, out off in the woods.
Yeah.
I think if we did pursue it, it would have to be as, this path, follows a colonial cart path, and this was, something about the geological history of the rock, not necessarily its Native American significance, which we don't know anything about.
But it would make sense to have a little sitting area and over there in that part of town. It's just a different way of, it would make a nice small little sitting area if we thought we could possibly, if people could drive up and maybe park there and then enjoy it for a half hour or so and then leave. Now the rock, okay, so history-wise, it has no bearing, but it could be a sense of conversation. You know what I'm saying? Reading what you wrote up, it has a little, you could force the history if you wanted to, but
I think my concern is that, having driven that area, there's really, how would people access it readily? If the roads don't lend themselves to parking there.
that's the key. You can get in the park.
Yeah, I don't
a couple
think,
of cars.
yeah, there's not there's not a lot of land around that rock, and will it become just a place that we have to mow and maintain that doesn't get used much?
I
That part of
agree.
it,
I
can't
agree.
answer.
It's not a safe roadway in the area, and not enough land to extend to make it, a better situation.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think if we were to put our scoring sheets on it, and if you go through, your heads, I'm not sure whether we would have enough points on a scoring sheet to preserve it. And if someone wants to make it a park or a historical marker, I think that's not our mission so much.
Right.
I just got an email asking me a woman wants me to contact her. She says she has an Indian group that has Native American information, and we're talking to the wrong Indians.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that's good.
Well, all right. So Jack, if you can follow up a little bit on that end, again, I think, we can carry it for one more meeting, just
Okay.
on the historical aspect, just to have as much information. This may be a discussion to, again, shift to council or a different group other than ours, because I think I would rather stay, I'd like to see it preserved as a piece of history within the town of Coventry. But I'm not sure it falls under our jurisdiction to do that.
Mhm. Okay.
But I'd like that, if we have any more information that can help us guide maybe decision-making processes, that we can keep this going another month here. Okay.
I just thought of a sign, an interpretive sign, but even at that, people would have to park in the area to read the sign, or they'd be distracted reading the sign because of not being able to stop there. So I don't know. It can be mentioned somehow. However we would do that. Because many people don't know it's there probably unless they live in the neighborhood. And I know someone who grew up in the neighborhood who used to climb it, she said. So we would encounter that maybe.
We've got so many other things on our docket of things for sign, for markings and stuff, and this whole agenda. So I really don't want to tie our hands right tonight any further on this. If we could move, Jack will follow up and get a little more information, and maybe we can point this could be something we can point to another group within the town council, historical people. There are other groups that their missions may help them preserve this quicker than we can. Okay, any other discussion on the Blackrock at Bamford property? All right, I'm going to go back now and just go in order, and if we can go kind of fast through some of these things, unless there's really, do we have any update on land? I'm going back to 5 here on our agenda. Back in order, land trust finances. I don't think we have any documents.
Yeah,
John?
so this month, we don't have any updated financials. And based on our discussions that we had last month, I did reach out to the finance office. I guess Lori is out for an extended period of time. So I got in touch with Lisa Mills, the finance director. As you can imagine, with Lori being out for an extended period of time, they were a little short-staffed. So she said that she wouldn't be able to get me the information that I needed for a couple more weeks. So that's why we don't have anything updated. They're just they're working on it.
Okay, Dennis, you had a comment?
Well, just some rough numbers for what I thought the fund dollar amount was. Strictly ballpark based on averages. And last one we had was February, but for March, since we don't have one, I came up with $1,968,627. And in April, $1,988,600. I mean, actually in May, we could push 2 million. You know what I'm saying? But
Trust funds in good shape.
Right. And these are all ballpark based on some average. Doesn't mean that these numbers are correct.
All right. Yeah. So with what Janice mentioned, we will continue to push, and hopefully they'll get their house together to get us the information. So I don't want to waste any more time if we don't have any solid numbers. Outreach to organization and encourage and organize volunteers. I know Rory has done some work and has some people I think that may be listening online if they're able to dial in. Does anyone have any additional comments? So they can be obviously anyone can come to the site walk, and then we'll talk about the couple activities that we do have coming up once we get the calendar here. All right, we'll move on because I'm sure they'll loop them in on the calendar portion. Website page updates. I know Linda was working on.
Okay. So I've been working on the website updates, and I mailed them out to everybody. There's a few pieces of information that I don't have yet, but if anybody has any objection to what I've already written, let me know. I think the one piece is that I don't know how to tell people to get to the Nealon property or how they can access it. So that's the one thing. I think that's the major thing that I need for the first part of this. I'm just going to call it up myself so that, because I have it in color so I can see it a little bit more clearly. So I think that once I have that, we can at least, okay. So what I was thinking is that with this website, there would be a tab for each property. So you could go to the property itself, and maybe this is where we could hook into the GIS mapping. And so I just had a couple of questions. So I need to know the Nealon property, where this property is and how people can access it. And then the other thing is that the Forest Ridge Mahoney property, it looks like the property can be accessed from Jessica Lee Court off Reed Schoolhouse Road, but I'm not clear from the information I got whether there's also a shared access from the Audubon Society's Manzo track. And I'm not sure whether the trails have been created yet.
To answer your second question, we did interface with the Audubon Society. You're talking about where the right of way is, you're talking about that piece of property next to that, correct?
Right.
Okay, we went through that process, and the bottom line is that we never got, excuse me, we never got an answer back.
Okay.
And number two, some research that was done by Brian suggested that because we were going to try to use that right of way to get access, right? But because of the wetlands and the way the right of ways are designed, that area cannot be used. So between Audubon Society and trying to take advantage of the right of way, shut us down to get access. So when Forest Ridge opened up, took advantage of that. The trail was not done yet, but we do have a map that we can use to start the trail.
Okay, so that means that the property can be accessed from Jessica Lee Court off Reed Schoolhouse Road. Is that correct?
Right, that's correct.
And then there are no trails there yet.
Not yet. They have to be made.
Okay.
We have everything set up, which we just haven't done it yet.
Okay. So should I put there that trails for the property are in the process of being created?
That's a tough one.
I wouldn't go as far as to say
Yeah.
that they're in the process of being created, that currently the property has no trails. I mean,
On
yeah.
117. either, no access. Well, I don't think we can say, the Monzo track, because Audubon, I remember Larry Taft at one point saying we have no plans to open it for public
Right.
access.
Right,
And
that's
that
the
was from
process we
his
went through, George.
viewpoint. Yeah.
Okay, so let me read to you what I've changed that to be. Forest Ridge, Janice Mahoney property. This property can be accessed from Jessica Lee Court off Reed Schoolhouse
Yeah.
Road. Currently, the property has no trails, but it consists
Right.
of, okay? And so I
Yep.
can just put it that way.
Correct. For now,
Yeah,
that,
it's like a cul-de-sac. I don't know if you could call it a small parking cul-de-sac at that, access point.
Okay. I can
It's shared with the homeowners. It's like their lane in, and then we're off, from having a couple cars parked there, depends how much traffic they're having,
right.
as
So,
property owners.
That area is set up for four-car parking, if it chooses to be.
So say that again, Dennis?
And the deed and so forth, you can park 4 cars there. It was designed to do 4
Okay.
cars.
All right.
Right. It's not a major group, If a group like Envirothon wanted to go there and had separate cars, it would be into the neighbors probably complaining unless we got cooperation like we did for the Sullivan event.
Right. Okay. So for the wording for the website, this property can be accessed from the Jessica Lee cul-de-sac off Reed Schoolhouse Road. Currently, the property has no trails, but it consists of 91 acres, which can be accessed via trailhead off Flat River. Well, I can I can cut that.
yeah.
Yeah, good idea.
Okay. But it consists of 91 acres, once a part of, okay. So what I wrote is this property can be accessed from Jessica Lee Court cul-de-sac off Reed Schoolhouse Road. Currently, the property has no trails, but it consists of 91 acres, once part of the, and the rest of describing the track. So, okay, so I'll do that. Now the Nealon property, how do we get there? How do I access that?
There is a bench on the opposite side off the Greenway by Nayland, and there is like a lane leading down into Nayland. All right, and like beyond that, heading away from Coventry Center, there's kind of a hill or at least a high knoll, and that's where the Nayland sign was put, but then it was vandalized.
Okay, so what we can do is, if somebody could give me specific information to put on the website, I will incorporate that. Otherwise, what I can do, if John's amenable, is I can just, so once I have that, I can add that in, and then I can give this website information to John. Is there someone who can upload it onto our website now that we have this much text?
Right. So anything that you give to me, I would provide to Cody from IT, and he would be able to, anything that we give him, he would be able to upload it to the website.
Okay, so what I'm proposing is that once I have information on how to get to Nealon, I give this part of the website to the town to upload, and then we can discuss the rest of the website at further meetings and get that up there, because I have I guess the only other thing I have questions about is that there's other properties preserved by the land trust, but I'm not sure, I'm not convinced myself whether we should list them or put them information about them, because they're not accessible to the public. And if I had one of those properties, I wouldn't necessarily want it to be advertised on a website. Does that make sense? So I would suggest just leaving those other properties off the website for now, and we can discuss it more. And then just put in the stuff about the donations, the easements, you know, and development rights. And that the rest of that can go up on the website.
I think
Right,
that's,
Kevin, oh, excuse me.
no, I was just going to say, I think that's a good methodology, because like the Kevin Breen is a conservation easement.
Right.
Right.
So I think where you drop stop to the other properties, let's just fix the first part with the nylon property, which I think Trestle Trails should be your access on that. And then we can go back and with these other pieces, you know, once we get a better angle on them, obviously with an easement, people can't go, we can mention that, you know, that under the easement sections, and, you know, that people aren't, you know, they're not open to the public.
Right.
But they are things that we have accomplished or help accomplished.
Okay. Yeah. So we can work on the wording of that later on.
Yeah. No, I think that's a very good start to get something rolling. And then, does anyone else have any feedback for Linda? I think she's done some good work here.
I think the places without access, like some of the Audubon properties, like the Manzo tract, that they don't plan to open to the public. They don't want to maintain it. Of course, I think the Breen property is no access. I think that's part of the agreement. It's just what, you know, to conserve what's there.
For the nylon property, is there a mile marker? Because I could just say it can be accessed from the Trestle Trail at mile marker number such and such.
We need the kiosk at the entrance. That's the problem.
Okay.
You know, we haven't gotten the kiosk up yet.
Yeah, and
We had
the
the
other
kiosk, then it would be, yeah.
the other part that we need to be careful until we actually have, you know, a legitimate trail or something, because we don't want and markings of boundaries and things. We don't want to get people wandering around and then they get off site onto private property owners because they went too far.
Right.
So I think just the general information and listing the properties that we do have trails that are marked. So I wouldn't get too specific, you know, on anything other than that it's there off of access off a Trestle Trail and with no, you know, no marked trails on it, something like that, just so until we can guide our people to a place where they can actually go do something and not get lost and not wander onto other property. So anything that we don't have a trail or a specific, you know, spot, we need to just say that there, you know, there is no trail, you know, no trail, you know, but there are future plans for a trail, something like that for wording. Just so, you know, we want to use the website to guide people to places that they can actually go do, but we also want to know that there's a lot of other land that has been preserved. So let's.
So for the Nylon property, do you want to just say, describe what it, we don't even have to tell people that it's can be accessed from Trestle Trail. We can just say the land trust acquired this. And we can just, which has had access to the Coventry Green plans are in place to add trails at a later date. How's that?
You know, there are a lot of trails in there. I don't know that we would run into someone else just following. They're really ATVs, you know, and little motorcycle trails. But Guy Lafayette made a point of asking the state to give an openness from their fencing, etc. And that's why there is that opening down into Nayland by that park bench on the opposite side of the greenway. I think the bench is also by a bridle path that runs up behind that bench, you know, for when we, yeah.
Well, yeah, I think I know where it is because I just walked the bike. I've been walking the trestle trail lately, but what do we want to say on the website? So do we want to just say, describe it and not describe its access because we don't want people to be wandering there yet?
I can make a quick
Do we need to
suggestion.
have the trails? Do we need to have the trails before we have the kiosks?
Can I make a suggestion, maybe as an idea? We know we have property that has a kiosk. We know we have properties that have a trail.
Mhm.
And Stella Hall is going to be our next one. If we have questions on the others, if you can use all your other summary work and just list what we know people can use, walk on, and not
Okay.
get lost and not get hurt.
Okay, so,
I would stick to those three for now. We got to do some legwork to understand how we want to group them, word it. You know, I think there's three other projects that we can put trails or verify, like Neon. I was told there was a trail there. I haven't walked it, I haven't seen it.
There is a rough trail in there, but it would need
There- I-
improvements.
Okay.
So
So
I
until we
can-
walk it ourselves as a land trust, I don't know if we want to tell the public to go there.
okay, so.
That's
what-
my opinion. We can,
Okay,
that's only my opinion at this point. I
okay,
think we should stick what we know is good, and we can talk about it, and we have a fact because we have a trail.
okay, so in other words, when I submit this to John, I can leave out any information about the Nealon property or the Forest Ridge Mahoney property if they aren't red trail ready, if they aren't.
Correct. That's my suggestion.
Okay, do others?
That could be good. Other properties will be available in the future for land that is held. Yes.
But
Okay,
you know, as far as telling people we have active trails, I would stick to what we know. The
okay,
Sullivan property, the Bolton property, and Stella Hall, hopefully by, September for sure.
and the Whipple property.
And the Ripple property. But I don't know if the Ripple property is marked. I don't know.
Well, the Whipple property has some very open trails and I think it would be.
So you can
fine.
recognize it.
Yeah, but I don't think, in fact, my husband would love to take a walk there at some point and tie like surveyor's tape to mark trails we might want to put in there.
Like we did when we did the Sullivan property.
Yeah, and he would love to do that to help out, to volunteer. And then
Okay.
if somebody else, if the committee could just go down and see what they thought of the trails we marked. And
And then we can do like we did with the Sullivan property. We can,
right, and then
I
just
need-
do the painting and,
do you agree with that, Jack?
Sounds good.
okay,
Yeah.
all right. So what I'll do with this is that I will leave out the nylon or the nylon property and
Yeah, I
The
never
Forest
figured out how
Ridge.
you say it either.
and I'll just submit the website text without that information. We can always add it later on.
Right. So we would do the Ripple property, because you say this, you've walked it, you see trails that somebody could walk.
Oh, yeah.
But I've been on the
very
property, I think
walkable.
no one could get hurt.
Right.
And we would put the Bowden property,
Mhm.
Sullivan property, and
Mhm.
you could throw Stella Hall in, even though we have a trail yet. If we do this for land trust days,
Okay.
I'm hoping, if we all work together, which we usually do as a team, we can probably get it. There's already a trail laid out on the map already that Jack and I already walked. We
Okay.
just haven't marked it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Also, Rhode Island DEM will soon be constructing a visitor center. I don't know about that. That was their initial plan when they did all the work on the trail, but it was going to be that building, that old yarn spinning building that's kind of crumbling. The one beside, Leah
Which one you talking about
Kavanaugh's.
now, Joyce?
Yeah, and then the boat launch is a canoe launch. I think boat sounds like it could have motors, and that's a natural pond as far as we can control it.
Mhm.
That's why they made the kayak canoe access, and a lot of people like that thought. There were people at Sullivan who said, "Oh, good, there's that there. I love to kayak," da da da. And that could be
Thanks.
linked in with our event with Stella Hall.
Okay,
In closing, can I just, I mean, if we all agree, I'm just making a suggestion. The 4 properties we talked about is what we're gonna
okay,
put down. And then, like what is, about the land trustees, of course, you're right up on the back about donations, easements, that type of thing, development rights, all that would stay. And then we list these properties as trails.
okay,
Does that make, I'm asking, I'm saying, if we disagree with someone has a better idea. That way we direct people to where we know a trail is there. They can walk it, there's a kiosk, and they know how to get in and how to get out. You know what I'm saying?
I think
yeah,
that sounds good.
okay. All right, so, okay, I'm just gonna restate what I'm hearing, so I get it
Fine,
right.
sounds good to me.
Okay, so I'm gonna revise this to, I'm gonna list the Whipple property.
That's correct.
I'm gonna leave out the non-Elon property.
That's correct.
I'm gonna include the Stella Hall, but I'm gonna get rid of the stuff about what DEM will be doing. I'm going to keep Bowden and Sullivan, and that's it. And then I'm gonna skip down to property donations and conservation easements and that stuff. And
That sounds like a good start for our website.
okay, all right.
Sometimes starting small and keep it simple.
Yep,
Looks
and
like
and you can always add and change text. So
right. We can always modify anything we can do. We can re-engineer it if we have to.
okay, all right. That's what I will do.
Also, the brook does not bisect Bowden. It's the National Grid land that bisects Bowden's 2 halves. And that we were given a right of way. Again, it's owned by National Grid.
Okay, well, that's
The bisecting. The brook comes in just in that lower corner, by Williams Crossing. If you come in Williams Crossing Road, the water is just in that lower corner. It isn't that much.
I think the wording shouldn't be bisects. It should, for the Quidnick Brook, runs, through the property or and doesn't, as Joyce, not the bisect. So I think all you have to do for the Quidnick Brook is this, runs through the property.
Yep, okay, just changed it. Good.
Yep.
We should maybe acknowledge National Grid, though. They didn't have to do that for us.
I think we should leave well enough alone, Joyce. It's not,
You think
let's just
so?
keep it simple. Let's don't add more,
Yeah,
Well, we're worried about other people's land. That's why I worry.
They know we're there. I
That
can
track,
honestly
they
tell
know.
you, they know we're there, Joyce. They know we do it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so we're home free
okay.
there. They gave us the blessing.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
All right. So I think, Linda, you've got quite a bit of input on this, and then we can continue to modify. But I think you got what we need to get up on the docket first, and then you can share with us at the next, next land trust meeting. We can keep a working document going,
Okay.
and
Right.
then we can say this is what's up.
Yep.
And these are the proposed future amendments that we're going to put to that, so we can just keep adding, and so we know what's there. And then as we add other wording for these conservation easements, like the Breen property and the various other things here, we can add that to our website as we get clearer information as for what we want to put on. I think Dennis' strategy or everyone's strategy here to highlight the ones that we do have trails on is the best starting point here.
Okay, all right, excellent.
Okay, any other questions for website?
Yeah, the Hope Meadow. I don't see Hope Meadow. That's a prime, historical site there at Whipple.
Joyce, why don't you send me a write-up, because I'm not even sure exactly what you
You know,
mean.
in with the Whipple property, you know, it doesn't include, you know, the entrance through Hope Meadow, which is where Nathaniel Green trained his Coventry Greenies. That's a very historical site.
Okay.
But I had hoped at one
why don't we
point
let
would have
Linda
a sign.
let Linda do this first 4 sections and put it together. Then we can kind of
Well,
redline
okay,
it
I
later.
was just seeing it, you know, as a part of that, you know,
But,
first section.
let's just keep it the way we just agreed upon at this point. We can always modify anything, but we got to get a baseline, get it loaded, get it up, and then bingo, we can start working.
All right. Okay,
You all set, Linda?
I'm all set. I'm all
All
set.
right. Give them hell.
Okay.
All right, let's continue. Moving on, we got a few more things plus Larry. I don't want to leave Larry out, so I'm gonna probably we'll jump over to Larry if he's still with us, and because obviously we talked about the website, and then the next part of things is obviously tying it together with mapping and things. So Larry, are you still with us?
I can see him.
Larry, you there? Can we? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Now I
No.
can.
A little bit. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yes, all right. So I think I mentioned at the end of your last meeting that I had gotten together with Lynn Carlson, who's just been appointed to the Conservation Commission, if and when it ever meets. And I've known her since the mid 80s when we got GIS started, after Bob Bendick appointed me to do a feasibility study. And shortly thereafter, Lynn became the GIS professional for DEM for a number of years, and then moved on to Brown. And I was just elated to discover that she lives in Coventry, has just retired, and like me is offering our services to maybe put together some maps that the commissions can use. And she also is available for doing some specialized consulting and so forth as kind of side projects. But she has put a lot of effort in. And also, a big difference between her and me is I use one piece of software that really doesn't have an online capability. She uses the Esri software called ArcInfo, which the town has in the planning department. I'm not sure anybody in the town is using it, but she's an expert in the ArcInfo software. So she has taken the historical layers that I put together, along with a lot of the Rigis stuff and some parcels and so forth, and put together an awesome online website, which we're hoping will help you do your work. So we had discussed the possibility of having a working meeting to really review this in depth, but I thought we'll do an overview of it today and see afterwards whether you think we need to do that or whether you'll have enough suggestions as we go through here that we won't. We can then make some revisions at that point. If you see something obvious as she goes through the demo, mention it right then and there, and we'll take notes. So without further ado, Lynn, it looks like you're muted. Lynn, can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
On here.
Okay, take it away, Lynn.
Okay, so thanks very much, Larry. As Larry said, we've known each other for a while, and it's been great to be working together again, and especially working on this project for the town. I'm a resident of Coventry as well, and as he mentioned, that just joined up with Conservation Commission, and but we haven't met, so we decided to go ahead and try our hand at stuff to help out regardless. So anyway, I put together this demo of an online interface, and a lot of things that you guys have been talking about for your meeting today. Seems like we might be able to help out quite a bit with you for things like access points, mapping out trails, and figuring out future parcels to buy and so forth. So hopefully I have the ability to share my screen and everybody here will be able to see it. I'm going to go ahead and share it, and hopefully everybody can see.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So this is a website, and just has a little welcome screen here. I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and hopefully this all works. As you know, electronic demos tend to fail, but fingers crossed, knock on wood. This is the website that we've got going so far with some data sets on it that we've compiled, thinking that these would be helpful to you. So the first thing I'm going to do here is see the town boundary. I'm going to go ahead and just turn on the properties that are acquired by, through the efforts of the town and land trust. And these are the properties that were listed on your website already. So I just went through the parcel database and pulled these out based on the name and the information. And so these are the properties that you have, again, listed on your website. And so I can actually zoom into the Nayland property right here. And we can click on this and get the information about it. There isn't much there right now, but this pop-up window can be populated with anything that you want. And you can also see over here on the right-hand side that the legend comes up to show you what those are, because I can turn on other layers. So for example, here we have the parcels that are currently owned by the town. So you can get a town-wide view of what's going on around what you have. And then we can also change the base map up here. I can show you an image, and we can zoom in even closer, and we'll turn the layer on and off so you can actually see what's going on that piece of property. Again, these are types of things where I can change the symbology or the coloring of the property so that you just see an outline versus a filled polygon, so that you can see what's going on under the land underneath. But this gives you a real bird's eye view of what's happening on any given parcel, and you can answer things like questions about access and where might be a good place to put things in. You can also see the other properties that you were talking about. There's just the Lou Kavanaugh property up here, and take a look at what's going on that property as well. So those are a few of the things that we put together. You can go back to the street map view. And we have all the other conservation lands in the town, local conservation areas, state conservation areas. And again, as you look over on the right here, you'll see that this information appears in the legend. So you can keep track of what you're turning on and off. We have wetlands, the National Wetlands Inventory, so that you can see where wetlands are in proximity to different parcels. We have the natural heritage areas. Again, this is from the Rhode Island GIS information database. Larry was kind enough to take some old information from one of the town's old comprehensive plans and digitize this information about where there are potential archaeological sites. And then a lot of the work that Larry's put together is on the historic stuff. And it's just amazing things that you can take a look at in terms of trying to figure out what land you might be interested in purchasing in the future, or directing, recommendations to the town council and so forth. So these are National Register historic districts, historic places from the National Register. And I'm just going to come over real quick here to the Anthony area. Now I'm going to zoom in, and as you zoom in, you'll see that the labels pop up on this to show, in this case, the date that the building was created or constructed, at least an estimate. And let's see, I'm going to go back over here and change this to my topographic. And here, if we zoom in again, we can go in and click on any of these buildings, these point locations. And again, Larry compiled all this information to provide not you and also the Historic Preservation Commission and the public, if you so decide, to include all this information about this particular site. And there's a lot of photos here. For each site, there may be from 1 to up to 5 different photographs for that site. Again, and then the inventory districts, again, with different information about them. He compiled all the different National Register nomination forms. So if you see a national registration form, that's in the form of a PDF, and then click on it and go out to see the actual form. Here, he compiled all the information about the text that describes that location. Yeah, so there's all this information in here, and this hopefully would be useful to you, not only for your trail mapping, but also for all sorts of other things that you might want to do. It included historical cemeteries and also dams in this draft database.
Nice.
So yeah, this is available and up for you to start using now, and we'd be happy to take any critiques, questions. I'll also show you that ultimately, I think the idea that Larry and I thought might be really helpful for the town as a whole would be to emulate something like this, which the city of Providence has, where they have a whole website that has lots of different types of web mapping applications where there's flooding going on, aerial photography districts, you can find parks and so forth throughout the city. And so we could emulate this type of thing with another website for the whole town, and started to put it together here where we have, a Coventry, Rhode Island maps and data. And again, just for demonstration purposes, I popped the map that you just saw as a standalone map inside this sort of hub page, but have all of that capability as well. And then just one more thing, just to let you know that I've worked on some mapping with the Attleboro Land Trust, where we actually went out to one of their properties and I GPSed all these trails by walking with a GPS, and then created hard copy maps for them that they can print out and put in their various publications and share with people, so that they know exactly where their trails are and so forth, and what the features are on the particular property, where the property boundaries are and so forth. So let me show you this other one thing too that we put together. Larry had told me about your efforts on the Mahoney property, and what we do have as well, the capability in the GIS is to create 3-dimensional views of these properties using a technology called LiDAR. And from the LiDAR data, we can generate high-resolution contour mapping and show the property in 3 dimensions. So I put this together for you as well. And from here, you can actually do a lot of planning on where you might want your trails to go. Do you want to have a section that goes up and over a high ridge, or do you want to stay away from ridges to let people look out over the ridge, or all those types of things. Yeah, so that's kind of it. I want to do big kudos to Larry here for putting all this information together about the historic properties and everything. And hopefully, I think we're going to be on the docket for the Historic Commission as well at some point to show them this. And so I don't know, I'll turn it back over to Larry to see if he has anything that he
historic
wants to put in.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Let me just mention on the historic, because I noticed there was some interest there. I got the National Register / State Register list of all the properties from the State Commission. Jeff, the director, gave me an extract of those to be able to put into this. And that's 329 properties that we have in our, now most of those are in our districts, National Register districts. There are maybe 10 or 15 that are independent, but most of them are in the 4 districts, which is Hopkins Hollow, Rice City, drawing a blank, Anthony, and I forgot the other. Anyway, so there are 329 structures. And then remember the 1978 survey they did, where they surveyed a lot more, but that are not in the National Register. About 30 or 40 of them were in the National Register. So that adds another 148 properties. And then I also took the in the parcel database, there is a year built field. Not always filled in, but quite a few are. And so we've made a layer of year built before 1800, and there are 42 of those. And year built 1801 to 1899, there are 479 of those. So that's 4 or 5, but almost 1,000 properties, historic properties, only 329 of which are now National Register, but the rest of them would be serious candidates. And we'll be talking to the Historical Commission about whether we want to start having local districts and designations, as well as state and national. Also, I used Street View in Google Maps to go get about 800 pictures that were usable for all of those 4 layers of properties. So that's where most of these pictures come from. Those are available the way we're using them under the fair use doctrine for photographs from Google Maps. So no problem with using those.
I can also point out that you can do a search. So up here on the top, you can go out and type in any address that you want. So if we go over to 580 Ledge Road, which you were talking about earlier, you can type that in and it will take you right to that location. And again, then you can start to play around with looking at that relative to your other properties, relative to state, local conservation areas, what other types of inventoried and historic properties might be there, and so forth, historical cemeteries. All these types of things are on here. So yeah, we hope that this effort is something that might be helpful to you, and we can certainly take comments, questions, and so forth.
Oh, I think that's extremely exciting, because it looks like this is where we want to be.
Yep.
Right. I'm in
impressed.
awe.
Yeah, we're impressed, very impressed. I think the tool and the model and the stuff that you've done is fantastic, and we want to definitely jump on board and work with getting our stuff tied together and understanding the links that can be set up. So if someone hits the land trust link and looking at things, and they can get over to this easy, or vice versa on things, and added data and your trail map that you did for Attleboro. I know Dennis was looking at that.
Yep. We're ready.
We're ready.
We're ready.
Yeah. Well,
perhaps the best way to generate input back to us is for you to sit down and use it and keep notes as you go along. What you like, what's hard to use, what else is missing, and so forth, and get back to us as you can, or at the next meeting, or whatever.
So Larry and Lynn, can I ask you this? Is there a time that if instead of, because obviously on our normal monthly meeting, we have a lot of other extraneous stuff that needs doing, but this in itself is so significant to what we want to do.
Yep.
Can we set aside a time to work with you and Lynn and just go through what already you've sort of acquired? And I know we had the quick demo tonight, and just talk about, some of the other things that with and just have a game plan where we can go step by step, and then we can start acquiring, the information, the pictures. We do have some drone footage and stuff that may be nice to have a link to that. So looking at the trails or whatever, but there's so much that you guys have done. And I think, it's so important to where we want to be at. I'd like to dedicate just, a work session, I'll say, where we can go through and say, yeah, this is possible. And then give us our marching orders of the information that you need in what format, and, whether it's a trail walk or whatever. And you do Lynn does her GPS stuff. And I'd like to, this deserves a lot of applause, and we want to be part of it, but I want to make sure that we set enough time to go through this stuff, get a better understanding as for how we can make our information and feed it to you to get it in there. And then just the links. So when we're telling people to go look at a link or whatever, as we develop all this, whether it's a land trust link to you or to this website or vice versa. So my question, I think the entire trust members would like to be able to set some convenient time. Hopefully we're out of some of this COVID stuff, that we could actually have a work session and just sit for an hour and a half and throw stuff at this.
That'd be
Yeah.
great.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I'd be more than happy to do that. I just tried to see if I could put the link to the map in the chat, but I don't have a chat button. I guess it's turned off for this particular session. But I can certainly email you the link, and you can play with it to your heart's content, and
That would be great.
just get a feel for how it works and what other types of things might be helpful to you. That way, when we, do have a chance to have a meeting, you'll have had a chance to play with it and develop some questions in your mind about how things might be improved, or other data layers that you might want to have.
Perfect.
When were you thinking of? Next month or so? Something like that?
April is busy for me. I'll let the other members. I was thinking that May. What we've got to do in April, we've got our Stella Hall property
Interesting.
cleanup and some trail marking and prepping, which will be helpful. So I'm thinking that we could put something together in May. If the other board members can attend, and we'll make it on when you and Lynn are available, and then whoever can make it from our group, we'll have to make it a work session or whatever if we're going to get more than a couple of board members. So if we get into the open meeting side, we'll just call it, schedule it as a work session, land trust work session, going over this.
Did you say board? Am I?
Trust.
Same thing as commission?
Yeah, ours is a trust. So we're a land trust, the Coventry Land Trust. I guess we're not the Conservation Commission. I don't know whether they were the Land Trust Board or a Land Trust Commission. It's Coventry Land Trust. I don't know whether we had a formal last name, whether commission or board.
Oh, okay.
But anyways, for open meeting, if there's more than a quorum in attendance and working on something, we just have to post it as a work session per se, and it'll be just dedicated to this project.
Well, I can tell you, I'm out of town every Wednesday, but otherwise free. And Len, I think you're tied up Tuesday and Wednesday. Is that right?
Yeah, during the day I'm tied up on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and Thursday evenings I'm tied up with a prior commitment. but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday evenings, or Monday and Friday during the day. Oh, and even
Well,
Thursday
Friday-
during the day most of the time.
Friday's my kind of my half day off, so that would work for me every Friday.
Fridays are
Well,
good.
yeah, just I guess if you guys want to just talk amongst yourselves and figure out some times, and then you can send those to me and Larry, and
Okay, we got to do Stella Hall. You already got a job.
Yeah, we've got some work. So our group will definitely get back, and whether we plan, can grab a Friday or something, or we will discuss amongst ourselves when we can set up a work session to get together, because I don't want to not participate in this. This is too big
This
for.
is what we've been waiting for. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, this is what we need. The trail
Yeah.
mapping is what we need.
Keep in mind that ultimately this is the bait and switch. We want to get everybody excited about this so that you will eventually convince the town to actually do it right.
Right.
Well, I
But
wish
I
you
don't know.
luck.
I don't know if that'll ever happen. I watched the council meeting Monday night, and that performance audit that they didn't even mention the website or GIS at all as something contributing to productivity in the town. So this may be a long haul.
Yeah,
Productivity, they don't understand. So
yeah, this is certainly the way to go for us. So I really
Right.
appreciate the effort. We will definitely schedule a work session where we can go through these things. If we can get that link distributed to us, whether through Larry can email myself or John Sullivan.
I've been sending stuff to John, and then he forwards it to everybody. So Lynn, just send the link to John.
and John can send it to us.
Right.
okay.
Yep, and
I'll
so we'll.
put my email in there as well, so or you'll have that. And if you have any
Yes,
questions in the meantime, when you're playing around with it, you can just fire me off an email and say, hey, I can't remember how I did this, or is it feasible to think we might be able to do this? And so even before the meeting that we're able to get together, I can, Larry and I can talk about sort of strategies, and I can answer the technical questions about, what might be feasible, and sort of put those things together for you.
I had one quick question before we go. I took a walk on the Peck Capwell property, the 9-acre or 6, whatever it is, just north of Capwell Avenue, that's got a stream running through it and was the former machine shop for the Anthony Mill, which is town owned and looks like an ideal property for land trust. And I was just wondering, is that under consideration?
I don't think it's.
You
You
been
mean
brought-
behind our Ice House Flowers? That's owned by the town. We had walked it some years back
No,
as a
it's north.
possible ownership.
it's-
Not
It's
fair.
north of, if you go up, Capwell's a little bitty loop. If you go up to the end of the loop, there's an old water turbine, half out of the ground there, and there are about 6 or 8 stone foundations there. And you go down the hill, and there's a beautiful stream, and it would make a magnificent park. And with a little bit of clearing at the head, you could get 6 or 8 cars in there maybe.
So I'm showing it on the map right now, I think, Larry. Is this
Yeah.
the one that you're talking about right here?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. See that stream
So this is the
going through there?
parcel.
Yeah, that one
Yep.
right there. That's town owned.
Turn this on and switch over to the imagery.
Okay.
Yeah,
Get a
right
perfect
there.
view of
That's listed on the Anthony National Register form as a historical archaeological site. But there's nothing to do any pot hunting for there. I don't think it would be a problem to allow people to come there, because all it is a bunch of stone walls.
So there's no pits or things that would be dangerous that people could fall into,
No,
or
not at all. There's that beautiful little stream there. It's It flows right down under the service station. I think it's a Shell service station across from Anthony Mill.
Yep.
It goes through a culvert into the mill pond, Anthony Mill Pond. But I discovered when I saw that in the NR form, I said, "Is that town owned?" And sure enough, it is. So I'm wondering why that hasn't been considered before. And it's beautiful forest, all woods. Anyway, just a suggestion. Take a look at it.
Okay,
Okay, great.
all right.
All right. Well, I certainly want to thank Len and Larry for joining us tonight with
Great
this
information.
great
Thank you.
stuff. We
Thanks for
appreciate
having us. And,
Thank you.
Thank
Look
you.
forward to a lot of fun times.
Yep.
Good.
You've
Perfect.
really wowed us.
Yeah.
Great.
like to do that.
Yep.
Okay, well, we'll sign off then, I guess. And
Thank
again,
you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
feel free to
Yep.
send them my way. Okay,
Thanks. Okay, well, that's great. I'm really excited about that. That looks like a lot of our stuff that we want to do is going to be able to get
It's a
done.
lot of,
Very impressive.
Mhm.
All right, let's so we can close out for the night here. It is getting late, and I'd like to keep the meeting to 2 hours, so I'm gonna just jump to the calendar, and we have let's see, we have a land trust meeting scheduled for the 19th. I will not be at that meeting. I will be out of town, bringing a car back from Florida at that point. So I still want to proceed with the meeting, and if possible, if it's done remotely, I might be able to zoom in, but we'll see where we're at that point. So that's the next thing. We scheduled our walk for the Capuano property for the 26th. And now we got the Stella Hall cleanup and our Earth Day celebration. I think we scheduled that for April. Let me get my
the cleanup day is the 23rd.
cleanup day, 23rd,
Yep, at 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
Is what we did last
Yep.
time.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Has everybody
So-
got the same thing? That's what I got.
23rd at 10 a.m. Yep.
Yeah, okay, all right.
So that's in preparation for getting our property ready for land trust days in the fall. So I just want to make sure everybody's on board with that date and time. I know there's a couple conflicts, but obviously we're going to proceed, and anybody that wants to help and be there and look at the property, certainly, again, they're more than welcome to help us.
Now, what will we need to, will we be providing like coolers with drinks and
I'm sorry,
like
what?
we did are we going to be doing as we did with the land trust days, or we're going to have like
I have the task worksheet already done. I did it yesterday.
okay, excellent. Okay.
Started at 5 o'clock when I got done. So I thought we were going to meet in person, so I was going to pass it out. So
Okay.
where would have our worksheet, task worksheet for
Good job.
Stella Hall?
Okay, excellent.
All right. And the first day on there is general cleanup. Then we have the parking area, do a general walk around, which we would have parking, just kind of review. Then we start talking about the entrances, if we're going to, move them, and the kiosk would have to be moved or repaired or leave things as is. All right. That's the meat in the beginning right here. Once after that, the next key thing would be the trail. And the rest is what we've been doing. Roy has your little task, and Linda, you do your thing, and I do mine, and Jack's got his, and it's, we've done it twice already. It's a piece of cake.
Mhm.
We're all been trained, broken in.
Right.
So for the 23rd, the tools, I mean, we can, basically, I'll scout it out prior and possibly need my tractor
Right. Yeah.
to bring stuff out to the edge, the trash pieces and things. So we'll work on that. And then from there, we'll just do our walk around and make sure the property's clean, and then our trail markers can get an idea as for marking, and then we'll add some additional activities for prepping the property for land trust days. But this is our Earth Day, the land trust celebration of Earth Day with our cleanup of that property.
So
Yep.
is the public invited to that land trust days?
Yeah,
Or
they can come and help.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Great.
You mean the cleanup, you mean?
The
Yeah,
cleanup.
cleanup.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Yep, and then it's a good,
I mean, the Earth Day thing, yeah.
The students from Envirothon are gonna come too, so we'll get a bunch of them. I'll get a
Great.
better head count once we get closer.
Based on where Jack and I walked this property, what happened with the Bowden property when we had to clean that up, it's the same, pretty much the same process. There's
Yep.
some stuff that you need the tractor to pick up and move out, and we can put it in the parking lot for the town to pick up.
And they'll pick it up.
Heavy duty trash bags, a couple shovels and a couple rakes, you know what I'm saying?
mhm.
Should be pretty easy.
Okay. All right, well,
Jack,
we'll
are you
have.
still there? What's your opinion?
Of what you have to do.
Yeah, for the cleanup.
I
Remember
think
when we walked it?
that kind of pretty covers everything.
All right, so it's kind of similar to like we did with Bowden. Couple of heavy
Mhm.
things, couple of metals. Bring them out to the parking lot and town will pick
Yep.
them up.
Not as much as Bowden.
Well, not as much, right, but it's a couple
Really good.
items. Yeah. All right, I think we're home free.
Okay. All right, we will have one meeting prior to that anyways on the 19th. And like I say, I'm only may be able to join remotely if that's an option at that meeting. Let's look at anything else on the calendar that's coming up quick on us that we need to pay attention to.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't think so. But I think we'll be spending the next couple of at least a month and a half, getting ready
Getting that.
for land trust days.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, moving on. Potential properties of interest. Does anyone have any property that was brought to them?
No,
Do you
Okay.
want to consider the property that Larry
that
suggested?
Larry just brought up.
It's actually owned by the town of Coventry already.
Right, so
Yeah,
just
so,
adding it to our property
It's-
that we would maintain and trail
It,
and,
it actually, those properties, my understanding, and Dennis, maybe you can correct me, Parks and Recreation, they don't fall for us to manage.
right.
So that's one thing that and I think maybe there's a discussion for the council. Obviously, we've got enough of our other properties to deal with right now, but and it sounds good to put a trail or it sounded like a good piece of property to go walk and have those things done on, but I'm not sure whether that's would be us versus Parks and Recreation is what it seems like in the past has been directed towards.
Right. In this case, it will be parks and recreations. Pretty much what you're saying, Clay.
Yeah.
Has there been any movement on the property around Poor Hill Farm or Town Hill Farm Road?
It was a survey marker by the power line.
Right, that's right.
I don't know what that was for.
Are you talking the one where there's the development plan next to the,
Right by the Anthony's, live across the road from the pond. And this was, the power line runs through the pond. And this was, I saw one of those orange ties at the power line along the roadside.
but I just want to
Yeah.
make sure we're talking the property by Poor Farm Road.
Yes,
Right,
next to the
Yeah,
gas
that-
down
station.
from it. This is down from it, actually on Town Farm Road.
Well,
There's a
run-
curve, and this is in the straightaway. It's by the Anthony's. They have a roadway running deep into the back, but they live at the, edge, not quite visible, opposite the power line. Well, the power line runs through, we know, up to Reed Schoolhouse Road.
Right.
Yeah, goes across, but I believe that from my understanding, that property on Poor Farm Road, and John can probably comment, that was
Farther down on 117
the one.
in Poor Farm, or on Town
Yeah.
Farm in Poor Farm?
Well, it goes basically all the way around to Town Farm, that property there. It's the 90 acres or 70. It's a big property that there's going to be 6 houses are developed on. And I think, John, maybe you can comment on, I think that was on one of the planning board for master plan.
Correct. So there's a piece of property that it has frontage on 117, and then it extends around Poor Farm Road and spans the length of Poor Farm Road. That agenda item, it was in January, and they received master plan approval, and the decision was ratified back last month. So they do have master plan approval at this time, and then it's usually the stage where we don't hear anything for a while, because this is kind of the point where the developer goes and has to obtain all their local and state permits. So
Sure.
been quiet, and I anticipate that it'll be quiet for a long time while they obtain those things. But that's the latest. They do have master plan approval.
I did, after our discussion in the January meeting, I did reach out to the owner to see. They never responded back.
Okay.
That was our mission that we had left. If the development doesn't happen or whatever, would they, the land trust is interested to review it. And I guess from what Joyce had said, the land trust had looked at that years ago and said it was too expensive at that point. So, but I did put a call and did not get a response. So obviously they, if they're working with a developer or whatever on the property, at this point, we may have to not be able to do anything, or maybe have to wait a while if the development plan doesn't pass.
I noticed there was like a big clearing on Colvin Town Road. A lot of acreage had been cleared. Is there a housing development going in there too?
Yes, so I can speak to that because I live near there. So basically, there had been a plan to put in a solar array there, and that got defeated. A bunch of my neighbors objected to that. So now they instead they're putting it in houses there.
How many?
Yeah, so I don't know how many, but I know that they're putting in houses in that plot instead of the solar array. So, but maybe John knows more, but I don't know any more than that.
So I will say, yes, you're correct that there was a solar development that was proposed there even before my time with the town. And then they came with a new submission for a subdivision. I don't recall the number of homes that were in there. They did come for master plan approval. And since then, there's been rumors swirling around about the opportunity for development over there, whether or not the soils can support septic systems over there. So I don't know what's true and what's not as far as those rumors, but I do know that it's been again pretty quiet on that end. It doesn't seem like anything's moving forward, at least for the time being.
Okay, well, maybe, again, on some of these things, if they do happen to fall through, and, we can reevaluate and reach out and be there. I'm just looking at the aerial view now of down there, and looks like there's a big sort of clearing on something down there in Coventry Town Road, closer to the
it's down in the 110 block.
Yeah, way down.
Yep.
So again, it does help if we keep paying attention to when owners decide that they want to offer up. It's difficult, obviously, because of the speed that we can move at. But sometimes some of these owners do want to do some preservation. So we just need to make sure that they know that there's a pathway, potential alternatives. You know, it's a challenge in this world, as we know, with the housing market being as hot as it is. Okay, grant opportunities. Does anyone have anything new? I think anyone who gets some of the state literature, Kate Sales had sent out that they were having some hearings. I think today was one of them, or tomorrow, I forget, at the State House for trying to get some money into the open space bond. Obviously, that's, you know, where we'd like to see money, and I cannot attend these during the day because I'm up in Boston, but feel free if anyone wants to respond or attend these meetings and speak on behalf. You know, that's what they're looking for, is people to show up at some of these hearings and say, you know, this is important to the taxpayers of the state, and that some of this money, you know, gets put aside for preservation, because as we know, it's pricier and pricier every year on land, and without a funding source, even a small land trust fund can't make all the purchases we want to make. So that open space grant is certainly one of the biggest opportunities for a land trust like ours to preserve. Okay, a couple other things, and then we'll call it a night because we're reaching that point. Drones, Rory, anything additional on drones yet?
I have not heard back from Mark Fisher with his proposal, so I keep nudging him. I know he's busy, but I'm really trying to get him to commit to something.
Okay. Boundary markers, I had said that I would eventually grab one from John's office and go do an attempt and just see what kind of work, and I did not do that. So we really need to maybe when we meet for Stella Hall Day, prior to that, and I'll try and get a couple from John and take a spin over to Trestle Trail and Bowden property and just put one or two up just to see how long it'll take us to do that, and what kind of tools and what kind of effort. So that's still on our docket, and something that we should really task ourselves with getting some of it done this year, since we do have the signs. Yeah. Kiosk, we talked about, and Stella Hall will be a place that we want to get that up to speed. I think that's a priority on now as we approach that end, and getting the tick awareness signs. And I think we did have a good sample.
Yep. I can laminate some of the invasive species signs too for the kiosks.
Okay.
The other thing, for I know the kids had a sign off, Grace and Weston had a sign off, but Weston had told me too that his landscaping teacher might be interested in talking to us and see if there's a project he can do for his students too. So I'll reach out to him and to the principal there to see if there's something to coordinate with the high school landscaping course. Maybe they can be tasked with some of the invasive species or the trail cleanup or whatever, but I'll find out more when I speak to him.
Okay.
Good. That'd be good. All right. Signs. One of the big signs that we really need to get into the ground this spring, now that the frost is coming out here, is the Janice Sullivan sign. I guess the thing to do at this point is maybe see if we can coordinate. If we put a couple stakes in, I can't remember whether we put stakes where we wanted the sign to go or whether we just eyed it out. But I think we should try.
We did put stakes.
But
you know, once you start to look at the sign, who knows, you might want to move it. I don't know.
Okay.
And there was a big rock behind there, remember?
Yeah.
Yep.
And that way, when you first drove in, you couldn't miss it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
I can ask Dan, the guy who made the sign, to come with us to help put it in.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that, you know, that we need to find out is what kind of digging we're going to get into, and whether, you know, I'd like to take my shovel and my pry bar just to see, because if it's one of those things that we need a little
An auger?
backhoe thing,
Yep.
or a power drill or a power auger. But maybe also on Stella Hall Day, if we bring some shovels, we can disperse and do some of our other locations too after we do Stella Hall. But we need to have an idea what kind of work it is on that soil, because if we do need a machine, maybe we could work with Public Works to go up there and help us install that sign. All right, so we'll keep
Worst
that.
comes to worst, we could always use some skyhooks. That's a
Yeah.
joke.
Well, I thought Dennis, you and a pickaxe could go through anything. So
Duct tape.
general trail systems discussions. I think we did have a little bit of discussion here, and I think the big part will be getting some of this with the GIS walking. We do have some maintenance that we need to do after winter here in Stella Hall, getting that all marked. So I don't know whether anyone else has anything additional to add at this point for trail systems.
You just, at the bottom of the thing about invasive species, I did send out a list that I combined Connecticut and Massachusetts list and came up with this. So it's basically, the states around us that we don't have. So I think it'll give us a good starting point of what to look for.
Yeah, and the other thing, Linda, that when we talk invasive species, the new thing are all these invasive bugs that are starting to do a lot of damage to the trees. And I know there's been a lot of press. Let us know if you see any of these in the area, so they can quickly cut the tree out or do whatever to try and eradicate the various. I think there's 2 now that are in the area. One. The ash borer or whatever it is, there's another name for but I think maybe that on top of that, and some of those things can also go on to our website for as we develop the website, putting these things out there. So if someone does look at a link and then they have a picture of what we're looking for, to be notified of.
Did you see the size of that spider that's supposed to be coming?
Yeah,
I saw that.
The Joro. Holy God, that was enormous.
Oh, so
Yes.
if you want, I can, for the next meeting, I can look up and see if there's an alert like I did with ticks. Maybe I can find a little sign that we can put in our kiosks or whatever about those invasive bugs.
Yeah, I think
Good.
that's important. Yeah, I
Okay.
think so. Okay. Do we have any new issues to add for the April 19th agenda? Nope, we got a lot going already. So
Well, I wondered if we should put something out about approaching wild animals, which we haven't had, but my granddaughter has been doing wildlife photography, and I don't know if you received a picture that I sent through Gail in planning, but she had a large cat, maybe bobcat. Her professor in URI said it's a bobcat, but it looked like it could almost be a hybrid with a Canada lynx. And it was, across the field from here. She just saw something moving, but when you see it magnified and close up, it's something we want people to not approach. I don't know. Do we need anything about not approaching, especially in spring with nests and young animals?
Where was
That's
that field?
What's that?
Where was that field?
It
Where?
was at Maxwell Mays Refuge.
Wow.
Wow.
That's a beautiful
It was
animal.
a good sized cat. A beautiful, I think, did John get the picture?
It's up there.
It's up on the screen
It's
now.
up.
It's
We
On
got
the
it.
screen.
Yes, George, I'm sharing it now for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got several different shots, but this was the
Wow.
better one, I thought. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's kind of gray, which made me think of the Canada lynx. And actually, the bobcat is protected by Rhode Island law. So no one should harm the bobcat, but he stays away from people anyway, I think, as does the lynx. The lynx is chubbier and fatter and not energetic. You know, he goes after his snowshoe rabbits. That's why they're on the threatened list of endangered species. So that's a federal animal. So we don't want anyone bothering any of these cats. Yeah.
That's a great show.
Yeah, that's obviously there's cats and bears and stuff in the woods here, and I think
Yes.
that's we can probably think of things that obviously we don't have a lot of room in our kiosk and things, but they shouldn't be harassed or disturbed, especially if they're in a nesting denning with young in the spring. Sure.
When we're going to be over there.
You only make that mistake once.
Mhm.
It might be, we might be able to find something. I mean, we have to see how much room we have, but if we find a sign, basically for all wildlife, you don't approach and you don't.
Right.
Even
Right.
with
Just, do
snowy
not
owls
disturb
and
the
things.
wildlife, and,
I'll look for something
be
online.
aware. We have had a bear in town, so it's not
Right.
Yep.
unlikely. And we do have bobcats multiplying in numbers, supposedly, more sightings with people's security cameras at night, and, technology is finding them.
Yep.
So.
all right, Dennis, don't put out the cat food, and
No, won't do that. No.
No.
I think so. So this all falls under one, category. I think between the invasives, the bugs, the wildlife, all things that property managers and owners like ourselves have to be aware of, that there are things out there that we want other people to be aware of, and not engaging in, any other activities we don't want on the property. So we can work on that for kiosk, obviously space, and I think we've got a good start on the ticks, which is obviously a big one right now
Yeah.
for all of us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but they haven't attacked. I've read that these lynx, do not, it would be rare to have them attack a human, but humans sometimes do things they shouldn't do,
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
selfie.
getting in close for a picture,
Yeah.
My granddaughter just magnified. She did not get in close for a picture.
No, that's a great one. That's a good one, Joyce.
Oh, that
Sure.
is, something that people dream of seeing.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
the big one. All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to move on unless anyone else has any business to public comment. Is there anyone left on the line out there that wants to say anything for the meeting?
There's somebody with their hand raised at this time.
Okay. All right. So at this point, at 8:39, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Aye. Oh, go ahead.
Made by Linda. I heard Linda first.
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I second that.
All right. I won't do a roll call on this, but everyone can say aye all at once.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks, John. And we'll be in contact, and we'll talk soon. March 26th for the walk at the Capuano property.
Okay.
Thank you and good night.